Carver County Library Advisory Board, and a special welcome to our guests. We have one board member missing today. That's Stacy Lindquist, who's feeling under the weather. Otherwise, we have more than we need for a quorum. So, let us begin with a motion to approve today's agenda. There are actually just a couple of modifications on today's agenda. And so just to double check, who is taking notes today, given that?
I'll do it since Margaret wasn't here.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Okay, thank you. Really appreciate it.
One seat left, Nick.
Yes.
The end of the table. Get to the end of the table.
Take one down, pass it around.
Right. Otherwise, we'll have to have a wait list.
Right.
Okay. So the agenda shows item 4.2 as a City of Chanhassen guest, and we have no guest today. So please note that. And then let's see. Item 9, and this is something that Jody and I talked about on Friday. Item 9 is one of those just remnants of previous meetings of yesteryear. That item, I think we're just going to take off the agenda because we never, as long as I've been on the board, we've never utilized that. So we're going to just strike that out, and you won't see it on future agendas unless we have to employ it. Okay, so those are the two modifications. So could I ask for a motion to approve today's slightly amended agenda?
So
Michelle, thank you. Thank you. A little bit of glare. Okay, Michelle.
I'll second.
Thank you, Wendy. All those in favor of approving the modified agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Let us now move to approving the minutes from our last board meeting held on March 10th. There are just, let me begin with two small corrections from me. One is under action items, item 5, which talks about the approval of the recommendation to the county board to accept the biblioteca contract. So the word extend should be extended. Extended. And then, this is trivial, but we need to note it for the record, item 6.1, where it says library board photo. We didn't do a photo that day, we'll do a photo today. So that should say library board photo dash postponed till April board meeting.
I'm going to buy a Marvin Gaye jacket, which is too hot to wear.
Right. Okay. Are there any other modifications that folks feel need to be made to the agenda? Okay, so could I have a motion to approve the modified agenda, modified minutes, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Michelle.
I'll second.
Thank you, Amber. Appreciate it. Okay, all those in favor of approving the modified minutes from last month's meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. All right, so at this time, we welcome members of the public who are at today's meeting to offer comments. Just one proviso on that. If you have a comment about a specific item on the agenda, I ask that you wait with your comments till we get to that item. However, if you have general comments to make to the board that don't pertain to a specific agenda item, we would ask that they be made now, and we ask that your comments would be limited to 5 minutes or less. So I do see that we have some members of the public. Again, welcome. Does anyone have any general comments they'd like to give to the board today that don't relate to an agenda item?
I might.
course.
Sure.
And what is your name?
I'm Judy Harder.
Judy?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's just a question. Is this the time?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Yeah, as some of you may know, I peruse a lot of library things. And just wondering when we have books, I'm just thinking children's books. I know we do a real good job with Spanish, but wondering if we could branch out into other languages. Why? Hello. Welcome. You might need a chair. Yeah. I'll stand as I.
She needs a chair, all right.
So what this came up is I teach at the Chanhassen Reading Garden, and just all the students, and notice the huge array of folks of different languages. And so this one little girl, whom I'm assuming was going to speak Arabic, started speaking Thai to me because I grew up in Thailand. I go, how did you learn Thai? So anyway, you know, they're from Chanhassen, and just wondering, do we have books that, that's yours, I'll take the other one here. So I'm just wondering of how special that is to have a book in your own language for the same reason of Spanish. So didn't know if we have a budget for that, or just would encourage us to expand on what we already do so well. So that's my speech.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Does anyone else have general comments to provide to the board?
And will someone follow up with Judy? Is that how that works?
Yes.
Okay,
I was going to ask the same.
sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so I presume then that if other members of the public have comments that are related to agenda items, so as we go through the items, please let me know if you have some comments that you'd like to make. So with that, let's move to item 4.3, because we don't have a guest from the city of Chanhassen. We have a presentation from our tech team, Bob Lincoln, and welcome.
Thank you.
Bob, thank you very much for providing us with a printed copy of your slides, so you won't be actually showing anything on the TV.
Right.
So thank you very much. So one thing I'd like to emphasize is we do have a pretty packed agenda today, and we have to have an absolute hard stop at 6. I cannot let this meeting run past 6. Part of it is that I have to dash to Edina for a meeting, and Jody and I discussed this, and we agreed that it just doesn't make sense to hold people after 6. You have family obligations, meals to prepare. So a hard stop at 6 p.m., no ifs and buts. If we can get done before then, that's fantastic too. So in that context, I would just ask that Bob, we're excited about your presentation. If you could just make sure that we keep within time limits.
Yeah, Kate and I will make our best effort to get done by 6. Is that?
Yeah, I was a little worried about how he'd take that.
No. I just I had to do that. So,
Please go ahead.
well, my name is Bob Lincoln, and I manage the technology for the library.
And I'm Kate Hull. I'm a business analyst for the library, as well as all of public services for the county.
And so we collaborate on a lot of the technology projects for the library. Kate works in IT and is instrumental behind the scenes with a lot of project management and connecting with different technologies. And we kind of want this to be more informal. That's why there's not a presentation up on the board. And if you have questions or comments, I also want to invite that if you have follow-up questions or questions down the road where you think of, oh gosh, I'd really like to know the answer to that, or that triggered this sort of a memory or thought or question that later we'll follow up with you. We'd be glad to follow up with any of the topics. So we're going to follow the agenda from the, can you see that okay, Jim? Okay. Jim's got his own personal TV here. So this is basically an update of some of the things that we've accomplished in the last year. We're going to talk about 3 things: contracts, projects that we have ongoing, and then accomplishments. And some of the accomplishments are a little bit older, but we wanted to give you the context of that as we move forward with newer technologies. So, and there's a little bit in here about the extended access. So A couple of quick things that we just recently finished. We're in a new 2-year renewal with Cercidonics for our ILS. And an ILS is the integrated library system with many of the software systems touch and connect to. And so we have a 2-year renewal with them, and also for our ITIVA phone notification. And the funny thing about the phone notification is I've noticed the usage is going up. It's been steady for 5 years, and the telephone notification usage on a regular basis is going up, which is just quite surprising for us. T-Mobile, we have a 1-year renewal with T-Mobile that could easily be renewed beyond that with 83 hotspots. You want to talk a little bit about this?
Sure. With the extended access, that's been a project that Bob and I have been working on. We did Norwood last spring, and now around June 1st, we're looking to get Norwood Young America on board. We had our official kickoff on Monday, and so we have our contracts complete for Biblioteca and Bloom, B-L-U-U-M, which is our audio vendor, and Affinity, which is going to be our video and media server. We went from having a single server in Young America or in Victoria, but now we're going to have one single server for everybody versus having a server at each location, and that's just to save money and maintenance.
And save IT's time, because if we have one library, 6 different servers in 6 different branches, we have to update all those servers. We have to buy, it's actually a lot more licenses as well, and so the costs really kind of add up really quickly. Having one central video management server saves us really a lot on that. So we are scheduled to go live with Norwood Young America on June 1st, we're hoping. This is really dependent upon equipment, and servers and cameras are hard to get right now, and so that's our goal. I can tell you that today all 3 contracts for that are complete. I just finished them. I mean, they've been in progress for a while, and on the spreadsheet, on the slideshow, it says that they're in progress, but they're now complete. So. Long term, we have some big projects coming up. One is we haven't done this since we migrated to Cercidonics 5 years ago. We're going to be purging patrons. And why do you purge patrons? You do it to keep your database clean, and you do it for costs and to save money. And we wouldn't remove somebody who's still using the library, obviously. There's activity that triggers what's called last activity. And last activity updates the dates when they last used the library, whether they're an e-user with Libby or any of our resources online, or with checking out books. Another project that's kind of in the works and still being discussed by MELSA, but is the MELSA Overdrive project. And that will be, I'm sure, discussed at a future meeting. There's another Overdrive project. I'm not sure if it got on here, but we're moving from a SIP connection, which is one type of a authentication method with Overdrive, and we need to move to what's called web services. And this is for security, it's for better service, it's for connecting with future technologies as well as better serving kind of our current technologies. So, you want to talk about these?
Yep. For projects, we have been working on replacing all of the WISE terminals. And a WISE terminal is just a small modem that sits on a staff person's desk that helps them log into a virtual computer at the government center in Chaska. These WISE terminals are ranging from age of 15 years old and to as little as 3 years old, but they're all in extinct soft hardware. So we're replacing them with new ones. All of the library staff have been complete. We've been promising this for 2 years, but IT completed it, and because of that, we're able to migrate to the new WebEx phone migration. What that means is we've been able to take hard phones off of desks, except for ones facing the public, and have it on their computers. And so it removes a piece of hardware and a piece of software and saves the county more money. It's all about the money, but it's really, the sound quality is better. It helps us get rid of some more applications that are aging out, which is like Jabber. The library's been great. They've been pretty much off of Jabber for a long time. We've also upgraded the fax lines in all of our branches. All of the branches were older fax lines, and we were able to get them onto our new vendor.
Do people still use fax lines?
They do.
Really?
Right, like they use the telephone renewal system? Yeah, they still do. Couple of things is vets require faxes, most medical companies require faxes, and most legal entities require faxes. Why? I don't know, but it's a dying breed because it's a data, it's an analog line, and phone companies aren't maintaining those anymore. So that's actually why we had to move over, was to find a company that was still providing analog.
The next topic is really a big topic, the New American with Disabilities Accessibility Title II rule. And just so you know, there's been many people in the library that have been working on this for a very long time. The deadline is April 24th to be web and mobile accessible. And just so you know, I know Susan Bernstein's done an amazing job on our website. We have a team dedicated to this. I've been working on this since last June when I found out about it. And I think we're in pretty good shape for that, but it's also one of the things that you're never done. You're always working forward, and we will always be working on this from now on. So,
and when they say the new Accessibility Act, it really isn't all that new. It was instigated in 1995. They just finally put a deadline on it to make people adhere to the ADA requirements. So,
and secondarily, they also made a international standard across the whole world.
Yes.
So this is a worldwide standard that the United States is adopting to be a part of. We weren't a part of it for a long time. And so that's one of the big things, and it's called the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. WCAG is how some people say it, and I just find that's a horrible, it just doesn't come off the tongue, you know? WCAG. But it's really interesting, and to be honest with you, the world is really embracing this, and I think we're pretty well prepared for most of it, but it's a learning experience. And one thing we do know from this is that we may never be perfect, even with all of the work that we do towards this, but we have to document our progress. That's what we need to be able to do. So, and if you'd like to see that, boy, that's going to be about a half an hour presentation. I'm really excited about it. Anytime you want me to come.
That would be one of those that we maybe get out by 6.
Yeah, maybe after 6, right? Yeah, I'll do it at 6.
That sounds terrible.
So there's a little information about this. Just so you know, this is one of the kind of the procedures that we've developed for the library to manage items from MidLink and interlibrary loan through MidLink. So.
And I also run the project for the whole county for ADA compatibility and accessibility. And so I'm on that group as well, and constantly going to multiple meetings across the county trying to get more adaptation to that. So
I put a few sources in there because I really think this is worth reading on and learning about. These are just a very small portion of what we've used in the library to apply this. But there's some really good sources if you want to learn more about it. So, and this is one of those things that I think you might have questions about later. So if you do, feel free to reach out to me. The next slide is just a checklist of what I've documented so far. And that's just to show you that we're making progress and how we're documenting it. And
that's really just an appetizer of everything that Bob has documented, as well as everybody at the library. There's pages upon pages of that.
Okay. So we're required to keep a digital link to their accessibility statement, and we're required to download their latest accessibility statement. It's called a VPAT or an ACR. There's a whole bunch of different acronyms, and basically they're documents stating that their software or their web resources or apps are up to that standard, the universal standard. So,
bonuses is by having a VPAT or something, we're sharing the liability if something is not up to snuff. We're not just the only ones taking that liability. The vendor itself is taking that liability.
So the next slide, some accomplishments. We have E-Rate that helps fund our internet and data transmission with fiber. That's through USAC, and recently, in the last month and a half, we've had to apply for a unique entity ID because the government is changing how they're going to be reimbursing libraries and schools and hospitals for E-rate, which is electronic internet support from the government. And so we had to create a sam.gov account with a unique entity ID through the library. And so we now are ready for the whole next generation of the government's billing. It also will allow us to make a RFQ, which is a request for a quote, or a request for a bid for internet service, because it's such a large contract, you have to go out for bids and make it public. So this is just basically enabling us to be able to participate and get it reimbursed by E-rate. So basically, it's for the dollars, right? It's really, really important. And this is a lot of money, just so you know. This is our internet alone, just for the 6 libraries, is $60,000 per year that we get reimbursed. So when you think about what kind of money this is, this adds up pretty quickly.
Yep.
We will be upgrading, we've upgraded 26 databases in the last about year. We've upgraded Easy Proxy, which is how Easy Proxy is a server that we use to authenticate if someone uses a database outside the library. We're in the library, they don't need to authenticate just to use a database, but when they're off campus or outside the library, they need to authenticate. And we have a server, and we manage the configurations of that called Easy Proxy. You want to go on this one?
Sure. Under accomplishments, we worked on setting up tech support 2.0, and that's how we have aligned the tech support for the library to coincide with what the needs are of staff as well as patrons, and also making it easier for IT at the county to help facilitate fixes and breaks and fixes and upgrades a little bit easier. We've done a lot to set up a system to reduce email bounce backs for incorrect emails. It's quite frequent. It's easy to fat finger, especially when you don't know if you heard someone. But we're hoping to reduce that with the wrong format and reducing undelivered emails. And then, of course, set up a dashboard to monitor databases to notify when a database goes offline. So that way we make sure that the databases have more uptime and less influence on the patron's experience.
Just so you know, we send out about anywhere from 10 to 20,000 emails a day. We have 80,000 patrons. And if anyone responds, the email goes to me. If an email does not go through, it goes to me. So my email is constantly, I'm getting out of office responses. I needed to take off for the doctor or whatever this afternoon, or whatever. I get all sorts of funny ones, but then some of the ones that are incorrect. So we've set up a system, and we've reduced our incorrect email addresses, meaning they don't get delivered and they come back. We've reduced that to almost none, where it was 20 a day a year ago. It's down to a couple of weeks, so that's pretty good. Other couple ways that I think we can measure how well we're doing as a system. We have a platinum support package, and we have quarterly calls for discovery, which is our enterprise and our kind of public-facing collection. And then we have sure sailing, which is kind of the behind-the-scenes sort of work. So we have quarterly meetings with 2 consultants, and when we started 5 years ago, our calls were 2 hours long, and we never got to everything, and there was always follow-up emails, and so now, as we've moved forward, we're now 1 or 2 topics per call. So basically, we've gone from, say, 12 agenda items maybe 3 years ago to now we're down to 1 or 2, which I think is a measure of progress. I mean, I think we're going in the right direction, and some of these are just getting our system better and making it better for patrons. So, and then we have a core team, which is a group with somebody from all levels in the library, and the core team works on problems, challenges, and we have been working since 2020 when we migrated to Sociodynamics, and we used to have an agenda that was, these are harder items, so it was like 5 or 6 topics all the time, but these are you have to dive in deep and you have to test and you have to work through things. And we're now on we're just meeting, not meeting monthly, we're meeting when we need it. So we went from, tons of topics every meeting now to just meeting when we need it. So I take that as a pretty good sign. We went fine free in 2025, and these are just a couple of things so you know, big picture, some progress that we're making. New public PCs in all branches in 2025. New monitors in all branches in 2024 and 2025. New Verifone credit card terminals that I think we have working pretty well now.
And then we have, with the virtual library program, we've expanded it to 6,000 plus students. Eastern Carver County schools are adding more grades as we work through this program. And Bob's done some really amazing progress with making the system more automated. So it's less hands-on time, the works interacts with the system, with the schools, and we're able to keep updated with the students departing, students who are coming in and onboarding them. Waconia has public schools grades 6 through 12, all filled up and on our excited thing. And then Central Lake School District is interested.
And we're going to try to automate Waconia's process as well.
So when you say the schools, so like the kids can use their student ID as a library card, or?
They know their student ID, which is their lunch number, that they've known since kindergarten. And then we've added the prefix of their school district. So for District 112, it would be 112 plus their 6-digit number.
So they have that's how they get their library cards.
Yep.
It's just their lunch number.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they don't have to ask for that card. Their parents can opt out of the card if they don't want it. But yeah, that's how they get it. They opt out at the school level. The school gives us the data, and then their cards are issued using that. What's great for them is if they want to use the online materials, they're able to just hop on that line after hours and work all they want.
And how recently has it been? I'm asking for Waconia because I have 2 juniors there and I've never heard of this program.
Well, they've had it for a year and a half.
We started young. We started with 6th grade, and then they added each year more and more people. This year, I think, is the year that Waconia added all the way to 12th grade.
Yep, and in the fall, in September.
And having had a teenager once upon a time, I can tell you that they don't necessarily want to disclose that they could do work. They'd rather use it as an excuse. But yeah, so it's exciting. And
Good to know. I will go knock on some doors over there.
well, what's really great is if people don't have home printers and they're part of the extended access at Victoria, oh, Mom, I can't print out that report. Oh, well, that's just too bad. We'll send it to print. I'll go pick it up at Victoria after hours. So their excuses are dwindling quickly.
To be respectful of time for the whole group, I just skipped one of the slides, but I do want to say, if there are questions, does anybody have any other questions? I'm just trying to be respectful of your time and the whole meeting.
We have a few minutes for some questions. Does anybody have any questions? We've had some questions already, but does anyone have additional questions?
So on this virtual library program, do you have any idea how many students are actually using it?
The virtual library card?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6,000 plus.
Oh,
I could give you
6,000 plus is.
I could give you the exact number in
No, I don't.
tomorrow in email.
I don't. But that's amazing.
And we've grown gradually with Waconia schools.
Yeah.
It started with a pilot in 6th
So,
grade.
I mean, that's how many people are using it, not just having that, so that's great.
Yeah.
All right.
So for the new public PCs and monitors, did you work with one vendor?
We do. The county has a vendor and an enterprise relationship with Dell.
With Dell?
Yes.
Okay, I figured. So it's like the educational establishment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We get a bigger discount than you actually can imagine.
Oh, I'm sure.
And in this current environment, it is very helpful for us.
Of course.
And those monitors were paid for out of Regional Library Technology Aid, which is also a federally funded program. So we got 65 monitors for a very good price to put in all of our libraries. So.
Excellent.
And just 2 cents worth on virtual library card. Patrick Jones we implemented it in Victoria in September 2nd, and it's been going really, really smoothly. We've learned a lot on our first project. I mean, it's just going to be, you would expect that, right? And going into the next one with Norwood Young America, I feel quite confident. I was very overwhelmed with the 9 spreadsheets of information we had to give the vendor. And now I read it all through this afternoon. I'm like, yeah, that's easy. I know how to do that. That's just right.
Copy, paste, change.
Right.
So what's the conversion? Because I know when you look at patrons, there's that gap from that young adult, where you got all the kids coming in, and then the middle schoolers, then the high schoolers drop off, and there's really no young adults until they have kids. So is there a conversion plan to kind of keep those kids into young adults that are using the library?
So if I'm understanding your question correctly, do you mean like when a junior or senior graduates from high school and the school district is promoting library cards and is communicating, and we have visits out there, librarians do visit the schools. I've been out to the schools many times in Waconia, and so we do promote that. And they can use their virtual library card walking into the library at any time.
So it doesn't time out as long as you're still using it?
It does time out. Their senior year, July 1, but we're trying to get a library card drive prior to that. So this will be the first year with seniors having them. So it's a good time. It's a great time for your question.
What the conversion rate is, how many of those
that
folks that are using it convert and come in as young adults into the library?
That's a great.
Yeah, and this will be the first year we'll see those age out of the virtual credit card system. But on the side note, this extended hours has actually expanded that age range you're talking about, the 20-somethings. We have someone who uses the extended hours in Victoria frequently for college studies and for printing and those sort of things. And it was kind of fun to see someone who's in the top 3, and you see that he's in the 20s. And so just the extended hours alone is kind of helping bridge that gap. I think that 20-somethings don't necessarily want to come in and have the younger children.
It's not cool when you see it in the library.
They could just put shades on like Bob. But yeah, so that's an opportunity yet. I think that'll be more and more as we go along.
All right. Bob, you and your team have done a lot. Thank you so much. And Kate, you as well. Thank you both for a wonderful presentation. You did a great job getting through a lot of information in a compact time window. So thank you for all your efforts. We really, really appreciate it. Keep up the great work. So it's time for us to move into some action items. Item 5.1, we have 2 policy review pieces. The first one is the collection development policy. So let me just give you a little bit of background information of what we need to do today on this, because this is a long policy. We're here not to discuss most of the narrative today. The reason is that it is standard operating procedure for policies to go through refreshed reviews every 3 years. And so this went through a refreshed review in September of 2024. So a review of the entire policy would take place a year from this September. What we're here to do today is to look at one new addition to the policy, which is about artificial intelligence. And that's the stuff that's in red. So I have comments about stuff across the policy document. I have to wait with that till when we talk about this a year from September. So there is language that has been added to the policy. It's on the final page of the document that you received in your packet. It's highlighted in red. And it would be helpful if we could just get a quick synopsis of what this language is saying, if someone would be willing to do that. Jody, I leave it to you as to determine who to do that.
Sure.
I think it'd be helpful to everybody.
Sure. Patrick, would you be willing to share?
Yes, we'll do a bullet point. We don't invite AI crap.
Very good at concise, Patrick.
This is a long way
Yes.
No, I mean, I don't know if you want more than that. It's really, lots of stuff is coming out that's AI generated. We want to respect human creators and so not purchase this material when we know that's how it's created.
So it's more like AI authors out there?
Oh, yeah. There's a list of hundreds of them.
Okay.
And I believe many of the other MELSA libraries, if they haven't already added something, are in the process of adding to their policies as well.
And the guidelines for our digital collection through MELSA has a very similar statement to this.
Okay. Is there anyone else that's been in on this piece, in on the creation of this narrative that would like to add to what Patrick said? Okay, one thing that the language talks about is efforts to not any such content purchased inadvertently will not be weeded unless it meets the criteria for doing so. What are those criteria? Let's just make sure we all understand that.
The general criteria is actually in A under collection management, which is timeliness, authority of the author, suitability to subject matter, etc. So those are all under A. So basically what we use to determine what stays in the collection, what goes.
Correct. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. And it's not policy, but it's practice. We have a local author collection, which is noted in E, and we're going to make a very specific statement in that local author collection document that we will not accept AI-produced items.
Okay, very good, very good. So essentially setting up some mechanisms and infrastructure to screen AI-related material. All right. I would like to ask if someone could make a motion to approve the addition of this language to the existing collection development policy.
I move we add this language.
Okay, Wendy moves. Could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Michelle. You're good at seconding today. Is there any further discussion? Okay, if not, then all those in favor of approving the motion to add this language, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'd also like to ask if there are any abstentions. Okay, very good. So, thank you, Jody, for facilitating the addition of that language. I think it's good language and helps cover some bases that need to be covered. So, okay. The next item is a request for reconsideration of program. So on this one, what we're doing is we are being asked to approve an updated form. This is a form which a member of the public can use to request reconsideration and review of an existing program. Jody, could you clarify what we mean by program? What exactly do we mean by
Before we go, are we going to do the state report thing?
Well, that's coming.
Oh,
that's the next item. That's 5.2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, it could be any library-sponsored event that we're hosting, it could be if we have an art class that someone is in disagreement with or wishes for us to, remove from our calendar.
Okay, it could be
Just as an example.
reading for tiny tots. It could be seeds. It could be great decision. It could be anything that involves an event or a systematic activity, a series of something. The reason I ask is the word program is a little vague. What are we talking about? An educational program or what? But it's generic for anything that is educational or just an activity, just an event, whether it's a musical activity out of the Victoria Library or something like that. So we've been given an updated form. It's the one that has the blue stripe on top. Carver County Library request for reconsideration of programming. And there's reference at the top of that form to LB22. In case you're wondering what LB22 is, that is a programming policy in the Carver County library system. It speaks to the purpose of library programming, programming principles, selection and approval of programs, criteria for programs, and so forth. So just that's some background for you if you're interested. The one question, sort of discussion point I have on this form is item 6, where it asks, please describe the programs you would like to see at the library. So I am wondering if it might be better to ask, how would you like to see this program modified? Because a member of the public who's completing this is completing this in reference to a particular program that they either would like to have modified or they'd like to have eliminated. But the question is asking, please describe the programs you would like to see at the library. That's almost like asking, well, what new programs do you want to see? That may not capture what the person has in mind. They may have in mind, well, look, this program has got to be improved. Here are the things that I think would improve it. Or I'd like to see the program gone. So that question would accommodate those two situations. That's just a friendly suggestion. Any thoughts?
I'm going to jump right in because we do, and I'm sure Kevin will have some thoughts for adult services. From a youth services perspective, we don't want people to rebuild our existing programs. I think the intent of this it's to mirror our collection development reconsideration policy. So basically this mirrors the language that was approved in that other form for collection. So that's one. 2 is that the point of that statement was to say, mirroring again the collection, if not this book, what book? So if not this program, what program? So maybe it's a matter of, please describe the programs you would like to see instead at the library, better said. So as opposed to what things do you want to, and to me instead opens up that maybe they want these kinds of books and not these kinds of books, as opposed to having people be able to give input where we're altering our programs as the librarians have developed, and including those that are established and those that are new. So it's kind of the same thing but different. I just read, how would you alter this program as being different than the intent of how this was set up in terms of paralleling how we. I'm very tired. It's been a very big day.
You were making sense, by the way.
Yes,
So
you were.
also, I don't know what was going on in your head, but you were fine.
No, okay, but that's basically. Yeah.
Okay, so when someone requests reconsideration of a program, they are actually asking that it be removed. Is that right?
That's
Yeah.
the spirit.
Typically.
This has never happened.
I understand, and that's great.
Just being
that
prepared.
speaks well to the system. Then what's wrong with how about if the form were retitled "Request for Omission of Program" or "Request for Suspension of Program"?
Reconsideration gives us the opportunity to go through the steps. It's similar to reconsideration. There are steps that occur to have something removed from our roster, be it a roster of books or a roster of programs.
Maybe you could just tweak it a little versus just completely removing it.
Well, that's going to vary. It just depends on it. And
It points to that process where it's going to come to the library director first and review with the teams as a whole, and then I initially would respond with whether we would even entertain to remove or not. Yeah.
Okay.
But it again, it points to that. I think that's what you're getting at too, Margot. It really points to that process.
yes, and it also, again, it's that parallel. We've gone through the process of the reconsideration form for the books. We wanted to have the same process for the programs. And just like our collection development, it has a process, and professionals working on it, we have processes and professionals that develop our programs as well. So just like we don't open up our collection to have people say, come on in and tell us what you take and what you want and what you don't want. The same thing with the program. We want people to give feedback, and we invite that and ask for it regularly and always, but not to say, hey, what little parts of this do you want to?
But that's not to say that the system doesn't welcome input from
Oh,
the
no, of
public on
course.
how programs can be enhanced or improved.
No, of course.
Okay.
And that's a regular part, is gathering feedback, and we're working on doing more evaluation and assessment of our programs as well.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, sir.
Has there been any thought to the timeline of this, as far as, like, let's say a program's tomorrow, and someone comes in and fills out this form? Do we suspend the program? Do we allow it to go forward? Is there any sort of communication as far as, you need to fill us out at least 14 days before the program, or any thought?
But there's a question, is did you see the program?
Right.
So it's implied that it's past tense, as opposed to, oh, I see this program is coming on, and I don't believe the library should do it. Similar to you, and the idea of the reconsideration of books, you've read it or analyzed it or examined the book, now you're objecting to it. So I would say no, that they have to, it is something that has taken place in the past. We would not suspend the program because someone objects to it. Similar how we wouldn't remove a book until we went through the entire process.
All right. So could I have a motion to approve the adoption of this updated form? Someone make a motion, please.
She wanted it first.
Amber moves.
Amber moves.
Could I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, very good.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
20. Okay. All those in favor of approving the inclusion of this new form, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions? Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for your work on the new form. That should go very nicely. All right, the next item is the state report. We certainly could spend, if we wanted to, an entire meeting hashing through what are some really fascinating pieces of data in the state report. We have limited time, and what is the board's role when it comes to the state report? The system has to file a report with the state, which it did so for the year 2025, and we have to accept it. That's part of our set of responsibilities. I have to sign off on it as president of the board. So that's why it has to be brought before the board, ultimately for ratification. So, in the time that we do have, let me suggest a couple of things. One is, Jody, perhaps if there are some highlights of the report that you think would be important for us to hear today, that would be one possibility. The other possibility is that we could set aside for a future meeting some time to actually get into the weeds with the state report. That way everyone here would have a chance to review it, and we could have sort of a discussion about things that pop out of the report that are useful to us that may help inform our work going forward. Thoughts about that?
There's a lot of data in here, and because there's a lot of data in here, there's no graphs for me to look at, so I was just circling. So I think that kind of, let's pick the important stuff and then put it in graphical representation so that we can track it over time, because that's going to be a quick dashboard, if you will, because there was that great handout that was done in dashboard style that I kept that came around.
Ooh, sure.
And so essentially kind of doing the same thing. This guy, and it might be a little bit different, but essentially some of those numbers, that was just my only thing.
Okay. That's a very nice suggestion. Is there any possibility that someone in the system office could put together a few graphs of really things that are really important in the report? Not that we want to add to folks' workload, but I think it would be helpful if the board could see that and we could have a meaningful discussion. I mean, I went through the report and it looks fine. I mean, there weren't any gremlins that jumped out. It looks just fine. It's very much. It's very much in a state to be accepted today. That's not an issue. It's really, what is its value to us as a board? How does it help us inform our work going forward? Because there's a data trove here. There's really a mine of wonderful statistics that I think can help us in our work. Today is not the time for us to dig into that.
We could definitely plan for a future meeting.
That would be great.
To delve deeper. And I just very recently, State Library Services has some dashboard info that was shared with MELSA directors as well that I think could be really interesting for you all to see. That uses some of this data as well.
Sure. And I would be happy to help just with some suggestions as I go through the report again. But that sounds really good. Would next month's meeting or the summer meeting? I mean,
perhaps a summer,
summer
in a
meeting.
couple months even, just to give us a little bit of time, especially with
Great.
having extended access coming on board in Northern America, just a little extra window of time.
Things slow down a little bit in June and July. We typically don't meet.
Well, not really. Actually, that's
Summer
what
reading
makes us
program.
All the kids, yeah. Okay, so your call as to when would be a good meeting to do that, but I think everyone on the board would really benefit from that.
Sounds great.
So I'm just asking as a plan that you're going to come up with some ideas, and you're going to come up with some ideas, and then you want to reach out to me, and we'll figure it out. We'll put some.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Sounds good.
Although I would like to ask, I mean, as I'm looking at these, and I printed out the whole thing because I thought we were supposed to. Anyway, just from the people in this room, I mean, if you've had a chance to look at, what are some of the measurements or data points that you found interesting and that you would want us to keep?
Yeah, I think it would be helpful to see like what you said the MELSA team saw, and then just compare that against what else is in here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can you say that again for the notes?
She mentioned that some sort of summary was shared with MELSA, and I think it would be helpful to see that and then compare it to what else is in here. You know, just
Compare and contrast MELSA versus Carver.
because it is
versus kind of what we're doing. Because one thing that I did notice was obviously our program numbers are down, and that was because of a staffing issue. And so it would be nice to have a little bit of trend data on that, since last year was an anomaly.
Right.
But it is an indicator. It's not going to increase rapidly because we aren't gaining back the same numbers.
Correct.
So there are going to be changes that are going to happen across the system as things change too.
Correct.
So yes, but it's not. It's different. It's different kinds of apples.
But our circulation numbers were up.
Yeah, our circulation is
Fairly
over
significantly.
1.5 million total for
Yeah.
print and digital. So, and obviously, I mean, as you look through, I mean, there's increases across the board, even if they're small, but things grew in many areas across the board, from visits to many different facets, we'll put it that way.
Yes.
Without delving into all the details.
Yes. So, okay. So more to come.
More to come. Exciting discussion ahead. So the next item is the library board photo, but Jody, did we want to do that at the end after we conclude our discussions? Okay, so we'll move item 6.1 to the end. So let's move to administrative reports. And Jody, you have an executive summary and also a library director's report.
Yes.
You want to share? Thank you for including that in our packet.
Sure. And you'll see we have an full IFS report still. We have our new, we will have a new accountant coming on board for public services next week. So I think finance has had a lot happening. So that's why I sound like a broken record, but we still don't have our updated executive summary yet. So we have the full IFS report. Really nothing, no gremlins to report here. Thank you for that terminology. We just finished our 2025 rollovers, which were very routine for us at this point. We're beginning the 2027 budget process quite shortly here, or already in the works. So in terms of the current budget, again, we're fine. There isn't really any major red flags I have to report at this point. Obviously, our collection team continues to spend. We're working on our tech budget and kind of where those spending areas are. I'm working with branch managers and to look at furniture and equipment needs for the year and trying to see if we can get some needs met in each of our branches this year. So it's kind of where things sit. And I think even our sub-budget, we're looking okay for now. But we watch that carefully.
The look on his face. It's like,
We watch that carefully for now. So that's a very broad summary of the budget at this point.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Does anyone have any questions about the budget summary? I have one in relation to 8003 on page 3. We're already over budget for our data processing services item, and we are almost up to all budget for data processing equipment services. So are these things that we need to be concerned about?
These are prepays that
That's
we
what I
pay
thought,
in
prepaid.
advance. So this is for the Cersei Dynex we talked about, this is for ITEVA, this is
Okay.
for the prepaid data technology that has ILS information in it. And so we prepay for the year.
It turned out to cost a little bit more than we had thought.
It always does.
One thing to note about technology, especially in this current economy, and IT is seeing this much more, is subscription-based things are coming in much higher.
Yeah.
Traditionally, it's 6%. We're seeing up to like 18%. And so I would not be shocked. I am dismayed because I just don't know how the subscription can continue gouging for prices, but that is something that's a realistic.
And not to doubt Kate at
Sorry.
all, but Cersei Dynex came in a little bit better than that.
Okay. It means that we'll probably have to up that, value that item for the next fiscal year, just given the fiscal realities.
And that is true. And then along that same line is just the cost of changing and upgrading. A lot of contracts we used to be able to negotiate with a 5-year period. Well, you're seeing them now going, no, we won't max out for more than 3 or 2, and that allows them to increase it more frequently than if we had done a 5-year contract.
Okay.
So we're in a 2-year contract with Cersei Dynex, and just so you know, that included 18 different technology security upgrades, which is good for the county, right? And it probably factored into our subscription being a little bit more expensive, but Harris Computing, which bought Cersei Dynex, has in their first year 18 different technology upgrades to help us be secure. So
That's good.
And they're planning more for this year, so.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions about the budget summary? All right, if not, let's welcome Mr. Kortavi, our division director. You're going to give us a little bit of a report.
Yeah, I can just give you a couple quick items here. One is I just want to note that the City of Chaska came into the Carver County Board work session on March 24th to give a presentation on the new library. At that meeting, I think you're all aware, but they are forming 2 committees. And the library board already assigned someone to that committee, or to one of the committees. But they have the library task force committee, and then the staff design review committee as well. This next Tuesday, And we'll be asking the county board to make the county's appointments to those committees. So on the library task force, we'll include one county commissioner, and then on the staff design group, staff is recommending that the county board approve to have 3 staff members on that committee. And we have Jody, Kevin, and myself as the recommendation for the staff to serve on that committee.
I'm sorry, with Jody, Kevin, and who?
And me.
Oh.
Yep, I'm one admin, 2 libraries. So that is our recommendation. And then, of course, we'll let the board arm wrestle and decide who serves on the serving the board on that committee. Just a reminder, they're looking at 2026 design and input, public input, 28 starting construction, and 29 hopefully we're moving in. So it'll go quick, but it's a little ways out there still. It's an exciting project. And just a reminder, they're looking at going from about 10,000 square feet to the current size to about 35,000 square feet, so something more similar in size to this library. So it'll be quite a bit more than what we have in Chaska today, so a lot more possibilities.
Wonderful.
The other item I just wanted to quickly note, Jody did mention that we have started the 2027 budget process. I always have to look at the calendar because I barely have my grade to 26, I'm ready to about 2027. But we actually yesterday just had some preliminary discussions about some of the initial items that we'll be requesting for the 2027 budget. Again, a lot of unknowns this early in the year. We still have labor contracts out there. This year next year we don't have a rate cap on health insurance. Again, a lot of unknowns as far as how this budget's going to develop or what the state or federal government's going to do to our budgets as well. So a lot to come. Still very early in the process, but we have started the planning for the 2027 budget. Those are the 2 items I wanted to try to touch on. Any questions?
Is Pete on the committee then also for the new library to make sure we have the technology aspect
He's
included?
not, but I'll make sure I work closely with him on.
Okay, yeah, because
Yeah.
we've had libraries
should
built where
probably
there was
follow
not
up, yeah.
enough technology thought of, and
Yes,
it's harder to retrofit.
definitely.
So.
Yep.
That's
I remember some of those
a good
conversations
point.
about the libraries.
Yeah.
And are we considering extended access for the new library?
Of course.
Yeah. That's sort of a slam dunk.
Right.
I just wanted it in the notes here.
Yes, put it in the notes. Is Margaret doing the notes? No. Oh, she brought the computer.
Okay, thank you very much. Really appreciate the presentation. Great news. Great news. Jody, do you feel you got into your director's report this item?
No, but I can
Please.
share a couple of items.
Yes, please.
Especially wanted to highlight the recent national conference that came to Minneapolis Public Library Association, and we were really fortunate to send 22 staff in different capacities to the conference, and also Stacy and Ern and Commissioner Anderson had an opportunity to experience part of the conference as well. I've heard such positive feedback from staff so far, and that they are processing so much information that they took on. So one of the things that we're planning to do at an upcoming all-staff meeting is to do a share out. So those staff that attended have an opportunity, and I know some of the branch managers are having some reports done as well, and we'll have a conference form that they'll also fill out. I don't know if any of you that did attend would like to say any words about it, but it was a really great opportunity to have a national conference like this right literally in our backyard.
Over 6,000 librarians.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Pardon me?
You'd be surprised.
You would be surprised.
It was not that crowded.
No, but I found my people.
I found it very great to just be amongst people in different situations, some that are not facing the same difficulties, but many facing similar difficulties. I really appreciated some of the presentations. There was very specific attention paid to going through some of the transitions that certain systems are going through, and just the amount of effort that it takes to do things when you have to make changes. And there was a lot of information. Everything I went to was very managery, and so I didn't go to much fun stuff, but it was very heartening to see the time that leadership took and members of these libraries took to address and long-term engage structural change, program change, different changes that needed to be made. It was great. So, very good.
No, it's an excellent conference for someone who's not working in the library system. I walked into it with a little bit of skepticism as to how much value I could get. I got tremendous value. There were sessions on advocacy, some sessions for trustees or advisory board members, whatever you wish to call them, that I found immensely useful. I connected with a couple of counterparts that are on advisory boards in other parts of the country, so that was really useful. I'm very grateful to the system for having given me the opportunity to attend. So it's great stuff.
It's good energy.
Yes.
I went to the vendor, Kate and I went to the vendor, and just the vendor expo. And we connected with all the vendors that we use, and we connected with a bunch vendors that we've never met before or offer different products that we didn't have before. We actually have a demo on Thursday of this week from one of the products we're looking at. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I was only able to go to the vendor fair. Commissioners have a budget that we have to adhere to, and so I can only do the vendor fair. But it was fun. We got to dream a little bit about what the furniture is going to look like in the new library, and have a little chat about that. So that was great.
And on that, I attended a session that was put on by the Missoula, Montana Public Library staff. They designed a new library that was named the best library of the world in 2022. So it was very inspiring how they engaged public partnerships in their space. And they have a maker space that is run by the public television.
See, that's sort of my dream.
Yeah. And they have, this is the one that got me, they have like a little science museum that is in partnership with the university there. And it's like, oh, sign me up.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I know, we're looking for that partnership.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yes.
All right.
So lots of inspiration
Yes,
coming
yeah.
back from PLA. And I just want to make one other note from the report. So obviously you've heard, we're moving forward with Northern America Extended Access, and just wanted to confirm that we do have MELSA funding that will support that project for the next 3 years. So they will be processing that funding very shortly for this piece. So wanted to bring that to the table as well. So, and that's from regional library funds that we have saved up, in particular for technology projects such as this.
Okay.
Now, I'm not on the agenda, but is there an opportunity for me? I should have to add myself on the agenda.
Yes. Why don't we have the branch reports? Let's have those, and then.
Sure.
Can we do that? So
Sure.
All right.
You can be correspondence initially phone.
Yes.
Yeah, but we got rid of that. So, and I'm not on the agenda.
Ouch.
I know. Ow. Hey,
It's because,
why do I come to these
I think it's because I mixed up which month you were at your other advisory committee, so you can blame it on me.
Okay. So Patrick, go ahead.
Sure. As always, I just try to show you lots of photos of things going on. I want to highlight a couple of them. On page 5 was a arts program, and it was paid for by the Legacy Fund. And I wanted to put that on the same page as Great Decisions, which was funded by the Friends of the Library. And we have different funding streams for different programs depending on their content. So it's not, none of it is public funds in terms of county money. All of our programming fund comes from either the Legacy, the Friends, or the Foundation. So I just wanted to show you those two. And then on the next page, on page 6, it's just a picture of our art show that we do with District 112, where several of the elementary schools bring artwork from students over and put it on display here so parents can come see it and show it off. So it's a nice little partnership that doesn't cost us anything but some wall space.
Talk about a great way to get people in the library.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
want to see my stuff because it's hanging on the wall.
There you go.
Grab a graphic, I want to see it too.
And that happens all the time.
That's
People
great.
come in and they just look around and go, oh, there it is.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Patrick, thank you. Kevin?
So on the site of where the new library will be, we, in partnership with the city of Chaska, we put in a community garden a couple years ago. And so we are right now back in our fireplace area growing seedlings for the new garden, which is coming up for us. We have a partnership with the Chaska History Center, and our first session of Museum in a Box occurred, and it was about photography, early photography. And this Saturday, it's going to be fashion. And one more thing, there's a picture of Miss Jody there with music, and we had 6 people there that day. So it was, it was a packed day for story time.
She was there right after the board meeting, too.
It was a busy day for you.
Wear different hats that day.
Wonderful stuff. Okay, and Margot, Western branches?
Okay, so yes, Norwood, Young America, Laconia, and Watertown are all just moving through spring. We're basically getting ready for summer reading. With all the changes we've made, we're making changes in our spaces to accommodate as we're moving forward, getting ready for extended access. That impacts everything we do. So we're already thinking ahead and planning ahead in terms of how we're using our space so that as we move to it in Laconia as well, we are moving through it with things not frantically being taken care of because we're recovering from summer reading. So we're talking about that. So yes, the extended access prep does continue. Our teams are meeting regularly. We met just this morning with our we've been having ongoing system-wide and division or county-wide meetings, but we also met with our local team, the folks that actually are in the branches who will be impacted in terms of staff and communication, and started talking through how we're going to move things, where things need to go, where they need to be started, workflow, and then also address some questions that people still have. And so I will be sharing them with the appropriate people as we move forward, but we are very actively engaged. This team is very aware. They're paying attention. They ask really good questions, so I'm very grateful for that because they really help fill in the gaps in my thinking and also things that we might not have thought of as a system. We did conclude our interviews for 2.5, the 2 lowercase TWO 0.5 FTE library assistants, and I was hoping I could tell you who they were today, but we're not quite there yet. So we're very excited about that. It does feel very uplifting to know that we might be able to be covering some things better and have new members of our teams. I do want to point out the artists that we have in the West. I pointed out last time, but this, I got to say that the team is doing a really good job of bringing artists in. Some of them are artists that have showed in Chanhassen or as part of the Arts Consortium, but we have a mother and daughter. I won't call them a team. They do their own art, but they're both showing in Laconia right now. And the artists that we have in Norwood Young America, I believe, showed here in Chanhassen. But it's really wonderful to see these works. And in Watertown, we have a new setup. But Bridget and Susie, who work to make these part of our community, people do come in and look at them. It isn't a small thing. We had a grandpa and a grandson come in once when we didn't have something up, and they were like, "Is there no art? Where's the art?" So it is a part of these things that it's something we can't measure, but it's something that provides our communities a deeper sense of community. So okay, moving on, Rachel Clift, our new adult services librarian, hooray, hooray, started yesterday, and she is a jump right in kind of person, but she's also pacing herself very nicely. But I'm really looking forward to you having the opportunity to meet her at some point in time, and I did include information about her because I want you to know about our staff. We do share a lot of pictures of things that we do, and we'll be sharing more data as we're going forward, and we are able to do more programming, and we are able to do more outreach. But it's really, I note here that I'm going to be featuring some of our staff and our friends because I want you to see their faces. They are concepts when we're just talking about them, and we can think of them as humans, but I want you to try to start associating that. And I really, really welcome you to come visit our branches. We have a couple smaller, 2 of the 3 smallest branches, but we also have Waconia, and each one of our branches in the system are different. So you can know something about Chaska or Chan, but it's not going to mean that it's the same thing in Waconia or Watertown or Norwood. So if you haven't had an opportunity to visit some of our other branches that maybe aren't your home branch, highly, highly recommend it, and I'm happy to tour or set you up with a tour with one of our librarians as well. And that's really all I have. We're going to have so much more going forward because now we're getting staff.
Great news, great news on those hires. Wonderful.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson.
All right, so I get to speak. So one of the things that I've been thinking of as Chaska comes online, and Jody and I have had lots of conversations about, are we a library system? Are we 6 separate libraries, or are we a library system? And really kind of thinking about, what is the next step for our entire library system? So that's something that I know Jody's kind of putting together a current state on what our library, each of those pieces. So it's really kind of looking for like that long-term comprehensive library plan. And then next year we're going to do a strategic plan so that all of the pieces that we're working on this year will kind of feed into that strategic plan and what we look like today and what we look like tomorrow. So it's kind of an exciting time for us. So that's all I have from this angle, and I think Nick covered everything else as far as working on the budget. And road construction is really kind of, I know. Apparently there's a website called How to Get to Victoria Today. So, stay tuned. But, so that's all I got. Just really exciting to see kind of what's in store for our library system going forward.
Well, you ask a great question. It's a great economic question. It's a great political question. Great financial question. So, more to be discussed on that.
More to be discussed. All right. Any questions for me? Okay, seeing none. Let's finish.
Thank you. So, is there anything further?
Do we have to go back and make a motion to accept that state report?
Oh, that's right. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes. Would someone, why don't you make a motion?
So moved.
All right. Do I have a second? Yes, thank you. Do we have a second? All right. All those in favor of approving the state report, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thanks for dovetailing that back in. Yes. First in discussion, right? Okay, so we have time for a photo.
We do.
Yes. And we'll be done for sure by 6. All right.
Do we adjourn or?
Yes. Could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Okay. I'll second that one.
Kind of my thing.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Oh, no. Thank you all.